All right, let's get right into it. We're going to tackle a massive question that honestly powers our entire economy. How in the world do businesses predict what we, you and me, are going to buy next? This is a huge deal, so let's find out.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You walk into the store, you're looking for that one specific thing, your favorite chips, that special ice cream, and the shelf is just empty. So frustrating. But what if I told you that's not just a run of bad luck?
Yep, that's the culprit right there. An empty shelf is actually just one side of the coin. The flip side? A warehouse that is absolutely overflowing with products that nobody wants to buy. Both of these problems are just symptoms of the same thing, a failed demand forecast, a massive miscalculation of what people will buy and when.
Now, getting this right isn't just about making sure you get your snacks. For businesses, accurate forecasting is a multi-billion-dollar problem. It controls everything, from what gets made in the factory to which trucks go where. And in today's crazy, volatile markets, the stakes have literally never been higher. See, the old ways of predicting things, they're really starting to struggle. And why? Well, just look at the world around us. It's more unpredictable than ever. You've got global pandemics, financial crises, crazy weather events, all throwing a wrench in the works. And then there's this thing called the bullwhip effect. Just imagine this, a tiny little dip in sales at the store. A small error. By the time that signal travels all the way up the supply chain to the manufacturer, it's become this wild, massive swing, causing companies to either order way too much or produce way too little.
So, how do we fix this? Well, this whole problem has created a pretty fascinating showdown in the world of data science. You could almost think of it like a boxing match. In one corner, you've got the old guard. These are the traditional statistical models that have been the gold standard for decades. And in the other corner, we have the new challengers, these incredibly powerful AI and machine learning algorithms. And here's where you can see the huge difference in how they think. The statistical models, the old guard, they're brilliant at looking at the past to predict the future, but they kind of assume the future will look a lot like the past. Machine learning, on the other hand, it's more like a hunter. It goes digging through the data, searching for these complex, hidden patterns and connections that a person or a simpler model would just never, ever spot. Now, the reigning champion of the old guard is a model called ARIMA. It's a true classic. Think of it like a really seasoned detective. It looks at its own past performance, not just its previous predictions, but also its previous mistakes, to try and make its next prediction even better. It has been a super reliable workhorse for a very long time.
So you might be thinking the story's simple, right? The new, powerful AI comes along and just steamrolls the old method. But our first case study shows something totally different, a fascinating upset. And this is where it starts to get really, really interesting.
Okay, let's look at the proof. What you're seeing here is a graph that compares the actual sales data, that's the solid blue line, with the predictions made by our classic ARIMA model, which is the dashed red line. Just look at how tightly that red line is hugging the blue one. It is tracking the real-world demand with just incredible accuracy, catching the ups and downs almost perfectly.
So who won this round? Well, this chart compares the models using something called mean squared error. The easiest way to think about it is like a grade for the model's mistakes. The lower the score, the better the prediction. And the results here? They're crystal clear. The two AI models have much higher error scores. The winner, with the lowest error by a long shot, is ARIMA. The old guard just landed a solid punch.
And here's the final scorecard, just to put a nail in it. Across every single important metric for measuring error and accuracy, ARIMA came out on top. So, why? Well, it's because this particular set of data was very stable, very predictable, exactly the kind of playground where this classic approach just thrives. So, does that mean AI is all hype? Not so fast. Let's head over to our next case study. Okay, for round two, we're stepping into a much more complicated arena, the super fast-moving world of consumer goods. I want you to picture a gigantic food company that's trying to manage thousands of different products, all going to hundreds of different warehouses and customer locations. It's a mess. Yeah, this is where that simple, straight-line world from our first study just completely breaks down. In this world, demand is getting pushed and pulled by sales promotions, by seasonal trends, by countless other things. So a study by SAS decided to take on this exact challenge, and they built a hybrid AI model to see if it could do better than the company's existing system. And wow, the results were pretty staggering. On this graph, you can see the company's original forecasts bouncing all over the place in blue and orange. But then, look at that gray line on top. That is the AI-enhanced model. It's consistently more accurate, giving them a stable, high-performance forecast that just leaves the old ways in the dust.
But here's the real superpower of AI. This is the cool part. Unlike those traditional models, it actually gets smarter when you feed it more types of data. This chart shows what happened when the researchers added point-of-sale data, what's actually being scanned at the checkout counter, into the model. Boom, accuracy jumped up. The AI learned from that new information and made its predictions even better. So what gives? We've got 2 studies with 2 completely different results. In one, the classic model wins. In the other, AI is the undisputed champion. So who's the real winner here? Well, it turns out it's not about the model you choose. It's about the mindset you have.
This quote from that very first study just perfectly nails the takeaway. There's no magic bullet. There's no single best model for every single situation. The most important skill is understanding the problem you're trying to solve and then picking the right tool for that specific job.
So let's just sum it all up. Here are the key takeaways. First, there's no one-size-fits-all model. Second, classic models like ARIMA, they're awesome for stable, predictable data. Third, AI absolutely shines when things get messy and complicated. Fourth, the future is probably going to be a hybrid, using the best of both worlds. And finally, the ultimate goal here isn't just to get an accurate number. It's to create a supply chain that's so quick and so agile that it can get you your favorite snack right when you want it.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. We're getting better and better at predicting what people will buy. As these tools keep getting smarter, what's next? What part of our world that seems totally random and unpredictable today will become the subject of a forecast tomorrow? Thanks for tuning in.